Welcome to Center Stage, the documentary podcast. Each week, our group of intrepid researchers and music archivists dig through the record crates of the world, looking for that one artist to take center stage. Using a patent-pending algorithm and spirited debate, we pick one artist. Once that is settled, we invite that artist into Thunderlove Studio to chat with your hosts Keith R. Higgins and Jeff Calhoun. When we're lucky, they say yes. Our mission with Center Stage is simple: to make sure the recorded work of artists remains, or in some cases lands on, the cultural radar. We invite you to sit back and relax. Thank you for joining us.
I see life like a mirror. I see life so much clearer. We move so quickly. Who knows where the time goes? Where does this road lead? No one knows. No one knows. Listen to the single heart beating, a rhythm for an ever-changing song. I see light with surprise. I see light, oh, in your eyes.
Murray Attaway, the distinctive voice behind Guadalcanal Diary, helped shape the American alternative rock landscape of the 1980s. The band blended Southern storytelling with punchy jangle pop, earning critical acclaim for both its bold sonic experimentation and Attaway's literate songwriting. Though the group never reached the heights of some of its Athens, Georgia contemporaries, the band's influence quietly rippled across college radio and beyond. Murray recently joined us in Thunderlove Studio to discuss the band's origins, his creative process, and the enduring resonance of Guadalcanal Diary's music. More importantly, we chatted about his first solo album in over 30 years, Tense Music Plays, which is out May 9th. Here's our conversation with Murray Attaway.
We're very professional, Murray.
Yeah. Murray, thank you. Welcome.
Well, oh yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, man. Wow.
It's great to be had.
There are so many different places to start with your career. I don't even know.
Oh, I didn't send you the questions that were off limits. I forgot to do that.
Oh, I guess we'll find out.
Anything that can be answered by a 10-second Google search. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Then
Seriously, that really is what I usually do for interviews, but I didn't do it with you guys, so don't worry about it.
all right.
I'm just taking the piss out of you.
That's quite all right. I did a fair amount of research myself. I'm sure Jeff does. Jeff always does a great amount of research.
It's true.
There's not much to know. Don't worry.
I don't know. Based on what I was reading, pardon me, across the internet, there's a lot to know.
It's mostly lies, I think.
Let's get into it. Let's get into the juice.
Yeah. I guess.
Let's get into the juice. I gotta pour some coffee here. Go ahead. I'm listening. Sorry.
Looking back, we'll start at Guadalcanal Diary. I assume that's safe haven.
That's a great place to start. Yeah.
What do you think it was that set Guadalcanal Diary apart from other Southern alternative rock bands of the era?
Oh, that's a good question. My clear vocals, maybe. Jeff Wall's just unparalleled guitar power and his arranging skills. He and I, as a songwriting team, Rhett and John, both stellar musicians. John's a world-class drummer that other drummers go and watch, him play, or back did at the time. And Rhett has really interesting song ideas. She and I wrote a bunch of songs together, and she was the most fun person to watch on stage. Great bass player, but really brought it to the stage shows. I mean, I was very dull to watch because I just kind of stood there and sang and acted like a smart aleck between songs. And Rhett bopped around, real cute. These little, she's just great personality. She's still one of my very dearest friends. So obviously, I'm gonna compliment her. So
Yeah.
she's amazing. I wish she'd keep playing. She's actually going to hop up on stage and sing a song with me in one of my record release shows down here. So
Yeah, you're doing a couple
there's
of
a lot
shows.
of doing. I am. Yeah, I'm doing one in Atlanta and one in Athens. And I hadn't planned anything after that, but I may do some other stuff. I don't know yet. But anyway, I'm sidebarring here. I'm digressing. You asked the questions. I'll do my best to answer them.
It's okay, because I wanted to start at the end by almost opening with Breathe and talking about the new recording, because it takes me back to Breath. Excuse me.
It's okay.
The tone of your voice is so consistent and to use your word, clean. It takes me back to those early Guadalcanal recordings, big time. So I think it's a really interesting consistency in sound that is rare.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. I was really trying for that. Let me do a little disclaimer too. Obviously, the stuff I was saying before about talent and prowess and all this. I'm joking when I say that stuff. I constantly. I'm one of those people that always has to say, I'm kidding, right? I'm kidding, right? I bet I say that to everyone more than I say hello. I'm kidding. So I was kidding about all that. I don't know what would have made us different or unique from any other band. Probably just because we were different people. I don't know.
That's fair.
I also know where you were going with that, and I appreciate it. So.
Thank you.
I'm so happy that you pointed out the musicianship, because I think hindsight is a beautiful thing when you're talking about musicians that have a large body of work, and you can look back on Jeff's career and say, okay, well, after Guadalcanal, Jeff went on to perform with the Woggles and Hillbilly and some prominent sort of like surf rock and garage rock groups. And I think if you look carefully at the Guadalcanal catalog, I think you can see foreshadowing of that. So, a song like Ghosts on the Road is, I think, a good example where you're like, okay, I could see where that surf or garage influence is there. I'm wondering if that was something that in the moment as you were active with Guadalcanal Diary, was that an influence that you were even able to acknowledge existed?
Phantom headlights, broken white lines, bloodstains on the highway, glowing power lines, signal 30 whispers softly through the pines. He says that no one would take her away, none
Jeff and I especially both liked all that kind of stuff. I mean, he was always kind of a fan of Dick Dale and what's the my ancient brain is starting to grind here.
The Ventures.
He's a fan of the Ventures, the Shadows. I mean, I liked him too, maybe probably not as much as him, but he knew all those licks. I mean, I think he's not here to defend himself, sadly, anymore. So I can speak for him, I guess. But I seem to remember that he knew, like, he probably learned those licks when he was a little kid. I think his parents bought him a guitar when he was pretty small, and he was probably learning da 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 da. That's probably some of the first stuff he learned. I know that the very first set that Guadalcanal Diary ever did, the very first time we ever played, which was in the backyard at a friend's wedding, we did a Ventures cover, and I know this because Jeff played. He had a Vox Continental organ. At that point, he played the organ part. It was Out of Space by the Ventures. And the reason I remember it so vividly is because I actually played lead guitar on it, which was very rare for me. I hardly ever played any lead on anything we ever did, for obvious reasons. Why would I?
Right.
Well, I mean, I would do it sometimes if I had written an especially odd part for a song. We had a song called Newborn that I wrote that I think it's on our third album, and it's just this strange sort of prog rock thing, and I just played it because I played it, because I wrote it, but that's all. Usually it was Jeff. He was into all that kind of stuff, and I'll tell you this, something funny he told me when he was with Woggles is he said that and this is nothing against I love the Woggles, and he did too. So this is not a slight. I'm very fond of them, but there was such a different style than what Guadal became that he told me that when he was playing guitar with him permanently, he had to remember how he played when he was 14.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
Because he had a style. I mean, I met Jeff when he was like 15 or 16. We were young teenagers when we met, and he had a real distinct style from what it became. He just kept growing in his skills. He was incredible to work with because he was one of those people that, like, let's say after the band split, but I was doing something. I was doing my second solo album for Geffen that didn't get released. And they all played on it, and Jeff would walk in and go, "Oh, okay, this. So what? I think I know what kind of leads you want. What do you want?" And I go, "Stooges, James Williamson." And he'd just tear into it in one take, and you're done. Except it wouldn't be a copy of anything. It would just be he's thinking about the James Williamson Stooges sound, and he did it. So I miss him, and I miss having somebody like that just to bounce things off of. I actually had to learn how to play guitar better for this record because I didn't have him to call up anymore.
Right.
Yeah. What a talent.
Yeah. I don't have the words for it.
Now, briefly, moments ago, you mentioned prog rock. Now, you are a self-professed fan of prog rock.
Well, in a period. In a period, yeah.
Okay.
Like late 60s to maybe mid 70s.
Okay. Is that anything you've ever explored yourself musically?
Yeah, I did an album called Enthrall that a bunch of people told me was prog rock after I did
Really?
it. It was my first solo album for Geffen. In fact, Jeff was one of them. He's like, "What made you go do a prog rock album in 1991?" I didn't realize I was doing that. But I don't think it is, but it's got a lot of big production on it. So
that it does have.
The first songs I ever tried to write in high school were had every intention of being multi-part, symphonic pieces, but they never got past like the first 3 chords because I didn't know what I was doing. But I had lots of lyrics. So yeah, the answer is yeah. And then once I got older, I decided that probably wasn't a good place for me to be.
That Enthrall album, a very strong religious image on the album cover, and then the album, the song Angels in the Trees. Tell us how religion was informing your writing back then and now, I guess.
That's a question I used to get asked a whole lot, and a lot of people would sort of mistake where I was going with it, but I wouldn't call it religion specifically. I would call it spirituality and a sense of relationship with an other, with the other, or an other, or otherness. To me, one of the most fascinating things about being alive and being a person is the wonderment that the world provides, and the hopefully it's true, but the suspicion that there is something, an intelligence greater than ours, and please let there be an intelligence greater than ours, and just it's hard. I hate to quote this because maybe it makes me uncool to do it, but there's remember the band Live. I mean, I guess Live is still sort of out there doing stuff. I haven't heard that much new stuff from them, but there's a couple of songs they did years ago that literally say that, like I don't need any proof. I just look at my daughter and I believe, and stuff like that. Like when my kid was born, I was like, well, yeah, there's no question now that, there's a force greater than us in the universe. Anyway, to stop rambling, it's hard for me not to write about that. In fact, I have to restrain myself from writing about it constantly because it fascinates me. I mean, I just write stuff that interests me, and that interests me probably more than anything else. But I wouldn't assign it to a religion, a specific religion. I mean, I have my own personal beliefs and my own relationship as such with a higher power, but I wouldn't name one faith or denomination and say, well, it's this. I'm a this or I'm a that. I'm a Zoroastrian, or I'm a whatever, Baptist.
Right.
Evangelical Pastafarian.
That's me. I'm an evangelical, buddy. You got it. You saw me coming.
The flying
Actually,
spaghetti monster.
I used to have people really ask me that. And, there was an interviewer many, many years ago who said, I was really nervous to interview you. And I said, why? And I said, because I thought you were just going to preach to me the whole time. I'm like, me? Seriously?
Wow.
Like, boy, you just don't know me at all. That's for sure. But anyway.
Murray, that album is of all of the material that I researched, that album is rather hard to find. It's not on Spotify.
It's nowhere.
It's partially uploaded to YouTube with a couple of tracks, and it's not on your Bandcamp. I'm wondering, as you prepare, you've got a Bandcamp page set up for the new album. Any chance that Enthrall gets resurrected in its entirety in some place that we can enjoy it?
That's a really good question. And the answer is yes. No, the answer is I've been trying to get the rights, or at least get what is left of Geffen under Universal, their uni now, to let me. I tried to buy them years ago, tried to buy the rights to the mechanicals. I tried all kinds of different things. And basically, they don't know that they have it. They don't know what it is if they do have it. They don't know who I am. I mean, all the people that I worked with, long gone, So whoever works here now doesn't really know me, except lately they know me. And it looks like there are people there now who are going, oh, yeah, okay, we ought to work something out with him. They never put it on streaming, is what happened.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't find it there. I'm aware that it's floating around out there. Parts of it are on YouTube. I'd love to put it up. I mean, before I did this album, I was thinking, I want that thing. I want to do something with it. I'll re-release it. I'll do something. Now I just wish they just put it on Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal and all that, and I'd be fine with it, you know. In addition to that, though, there is an unreleased album.
That's the one I was going to ask about.
Oh, ask away.
Yeah. What about that one? Can that one come out as well?
Maybe. See, I own all the rights to all those songs. I just don't own those recordings. I don't own the mechanicals. Okay. And they pulled the plug on that second album. It's actually 2 records worth of material, and it's got a lot of really interesting folks on it. Like, well, Don Dixon produced it, and Don plays bass on it. Peter Holzapple's on it from the DBs. So is Guadalcanal's they're all 4. All of us are on it on certain songs. Indigo Girls are on it.
Wow.
Mitch Easter's on it. All these. See, what I did was I made the Hollywood record, and then I said, okay, that's Enthrall. I mean, not disparagingly. I mean, I did it on pro. Went out there. They said, come out here and just do it with us. Okay. I did that one, and then I said, okay, next one I'm going to go home and use all the people I know in my part of the country. And I said, okay. And then when that happened, I lost my cheerleader at Geffen. He moved on. And the folks who were in charge of me at that point were sort of like, we're not that crazy about this, you know, and hop back in there and give us 10 more. And I was like, no, I'm done. I just had a kid. I'm ready to move on and go do something besides be in the record business. So that's what happened with that. But yeah, I mean, I hope that they'll work something out with me, because there's a bunch of good songs, I think, on there, and I'd love to see them come out.
Us too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think. The unreleased stuff, I think, yeah, Breath actually is from that period.
Oh, wow.
There is a version of Breath. It's very different, but it's the 90s version of Breath. So, yeah. I don't throw anything away. I'm big on recycling. I don't want to fill up the planet with unused music.
No.
What? I feel goofy asking this. What is a Watusi?
What is? I was going to ask the same question.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm not the only goofy one here. Yay.
It's a tribe. It was I'm not sure if it's still a tribe, but it was a tribe in an African country. It's also a dance from the 60s. Those are the only 2 things I know that it is. Are you asking me because of Watusi Rodeo? I wonder.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Come along with me to the Congo land. Got a zebra by the tail and a python in my hand. Once my home was a Texas plain, but now I swing a lasso on an alien terrain. I'm tossing pygmies, nowhere to go. Everybody's heading for the Watusi Rodeo. Cowboys are putting up a big fence around the sacred elephant burial ground. Native women stomping up a bury in the mud. Villagers are looking for some cowboy blood. I guess they didn't like them hats that they wear. They don't look right on the native hair. Don't they know that it's all for showing in the Watusi Rodeo.
That has an odd provenance. It's the very first record that Guadalcanal ever did was an EP, a 4-song EP put out by a little tiny company that was trying to, make something as an indie out of Atlanta called Entertainment on Disc. And they put that record out, and there was, let me think what was on it. a song that we redid for the second album called Michael Rockefeller. That's one of mine. This thing that starts out with big drums. What is it? Shoot, I can't think of it. Oh, well, we did a version of Lee Wawecki by Miriam Makeba. That's on there. Shoot, I can't think of everything. There's 4 songs, and I can only think of 2 of them. There's something on 2 songs on the third album we redid for that. Anyway, the idea was that one side had sort of an African feel to it because we were big on polyrhythmic stuff then. And the other side had sort of a Western feel to it, you know. Oh, a song I wrote called John Wayne is on there. And a friend of ours, before we put it out, heard the tapes. He's like, oh, y'all ought to call it Watusi Rodeo. Or he just came up with it. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's call it that, you know. Guy named James Gilbert, who is immortalized in a song called Gilbert Takes the Wheel that's on one of the early records, I think the first one. And so we called it that, and I was like, well, we need a song called Watusi Rodeo. This is just cool of a title. So Jeff and I both went apart. He said, I'll write one. I said, I'll write one. We both wrote one and then picked mine. So that's the story of that.
It's a great tune.
Thanks. The song, if it has any deep meaning, it actually was about colonization, you know, essentially.
Okay.
Intrusion by, let's don't get political. It was about colonization and how it's not a very nice thing. So yeah, ahead of our times we were. Golly.
Yeah.
Oh, prescient even.
Prescient, if you will. And
Yeah.
I think you will.
How did the success of Litany change, if at all, the trajectory of the band Guadalcanal Diary?
Well, you know, once you buy a jet, it's all different, you know.
I gotta say, even to this day, when I hear that song, I still get a little goosebumpy and teary-eyed. I love that song.
Kind.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. That's very kind. That song, it has fans. It still has fans. I did this thing. The reason I know that is because I did this thing a couple weekends ago. Peter Old Zeppelin, Don Dixon, and I accepted an offer to do these little, you know, what do you call it, songwriters.
Round table type deal?
Round table, yeah. I'm not going to tell you what my nickname for it was because I'm not going to say it on your podcast. But
Can I? You can say it.
Oh, I know I can, but I mean, you're not. FCC's not watching over you, so I can say it. It was a circle jerk.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I figured you'd guess it, and maybe you'd say it for me.
Better that than
but
shit
anyway,
show.
Yeah, and thank goodness it wasn't. We did 3 of those, and I'd never done one before. I'm pretty naive. Those guys have done everything. I've done very little, and hadn't done anything for like 30 years, you know, play in front of people, all that kind of stuff. And here I picked, for my re-entry into that world, I picked 2 guys that literally never stopped playing. They've been playing their whole lives, and they haven't stopped. I quit, you know, and went and did other stuff for a long time. So I'm like, good move, Murray. You know, that's smart. Why don't you get up with these pros and just make a complete fool of yourself? Didn't turn out that way, though. It went great because I love them, and we're all good friends, and we just had a good time. But I played Litany, and when I did, it was palpable. So I was really pleased with that, you know. So yeah, when we cut that song and finished the track and produced it, we were in New York, and our A&R Kevin Patrick, who's still a good buddy of mine, we were on Elektra, and he was like, "We have to go and play this for Bob Grasnow right now. We have to go and play it for Grasnow right now." That was the president of Elektra at the time. So we went over to the office at 30 Rock and went up there and just sort of barged into his office past the front desk and everything. And I mean, Kevin works there. He's a big A&R guy, so it's cool. But still, it's kind of like a movie. You're like, oh no, we can't wait, you know. So I went and stuck the cassette in his cassette deck, and he's like, "That is a total mind fuck. Play it again." And so I'm like, okay, good, cool. He likes it. Daddy likes it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a neat moment. You know,
Yeah.
It really was. I'm making light of it, but it was a really cool thing to have the president of the company just, no matter what his vernacular was, that he liked it. You know, so. Gosh, Bob, you shouldn't use that sort of language. I'm not really sure how I'm going to take that. You mean like mind fuck? You mean fucking the mind over? What are you talking about, Bob? Sorry. Normally, I don't say curse words like that in public. So
I'm glad that you're comfortable enough with us that you're doing it here.
Yes.
Well, I broke that threshold when I did my own podcast 5-6 years ago, whenever it was, and there's lots of cursing in there, but they're not me.
They're
It's
characters.
other people, just characters that come out of my mouth. So, anyway,
Which, as long as you brought it up, let's ask about Dazzle Dudes.
Dazzle Dudes.
Are they
Yeah,
going to be
Dazzle
coming?
Dudes.
Are they coming back?
Yeah, probably. It had enough people that dug it that I'm going to do it again. The idea behind that was just I had all these stories in my head, and I had these characters that had to tell these stories, and I thought, well, the quickest way I can do this, instead of trying to do some screenplay, which I actually did for another thing, and I thought, well, that's a world I really don't want to get into. But I thought the fastest way for me to do this is do a podcast, because I actually can do all this stuff. I can play the music, I can do the voices, I can produce it, I can do all that stuff. And so I did, and that's how it came about. And it was a discipline exercise for me. I don't know how you guys work, but what I did was I had to have it completely mixed and ready to drop every Thursday night at midnight.
Every Wednesday for us.
Really?
Yep. Once a week. We take 2 weeks off after every season, and then it's once a week.
That's pretty admirable. Just y'all?
Yep. Just us.
My hat's off.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, because it was hard for me doing that. But I mean, it was kind of cool, because once you get in the groove, it's like, oh, okay, you know. And plus, when you're doing fiction, you know, the characters know what they're going to say. I mean, it's weird because people always say that kind of crap, but God, is it ever true? I mean, they know what they're going to say. You just let them say it, you know. My wife, Layla, actually, who is not, if you met her, you wouldn't think that she's very nice and sweet and very mild-mannered, and she came up with some of the craziest ideas on the podcast. So I was impressed with that. But yeah, it was fun doing it, and I'd like to do it again. I decided that I wanted to do the record that I did recently, and I couldn't do both of them at the same time. So
Right.
thanks for asking about it, though.
Yeah, no, I listened to a few episodes just today, and it had a Prairie Home Companion, almost Our Town vibe to it. Just with rock and roll.
That was intentional. That's sort of what I wanted it to be like. The first couple of episodes, I think, are pretty rough production-wise, but once you get to about 3 or 4, I kind of smoothed it out. You know, The first few, I think I've got people talking over each other. You're not really sure who this is or that is, you know.
Yeah.
So, but those characters were fun to do. I mean, I knew those guys. You know, the people in the podcast. Those are people that they were in bands that were like, maybe they were like 3 years older than me when I was in high school, and they were actually out, you know, playing and making money and playing the high school dances. And every now and then they'd go play a beer joint or something like that. You know, it's like, wow, they made money playing music. They're playing covers, but you know, every now and then they'd slip in one of their own. It's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So, but
That was great. It was great.
thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting thing to approach, because we've had a number of guests on who have talked about how where they're from influences their music. And I know that one such artist very recently was Blueburst, who is from right there in your backyard, you know, in the Atlanta, Macon area.
Yep.
Craig's a fantastic musician and readily admits that Georgia is a part of his sound. I think that as I draw parallels between Guadalcanal Diary and other artists, the one that I put closest to you in terms of sound and tone and approach is from the opposite side of the world. I think you're closer to the Hoodoo Gurus than any other group. And so Australia has nothing to do with Georgia. I know who you're thinking. But it's amazing to me that you can have something that, do you feel like there was a regional influence or element to your music? Do you feel like Georgia was something that was a part of you, or was it something that was being beamed in from someplace else?
That's an excellent question. And, I think that we, as a band, maybe not me, maybe not Jeff and I, because we had sort of